Hi, today we're playing Diablo 4, and we're going to talk about it, and I also want to talk about what I've been playing this week, and also in general, upcoming Game of the Year award, kind of potential nominees and stuff like that, so let's get into it. Diablo 4, I have a love-hate relationship with this game, and I wish it was a love-love relationship with this game, but I've been feeling the itch lately to get back to it, only there was a small hitch, and that is that I am not a wise man. I am not a wise man at all, because originally I bought this game on my Xbox Series S. I believe it was the Ultimate Edition, because I don't do that very often with games, but I love Diablo. I was very excited for Diablo 4, and I didn't regret it at the time. And then, a lot later, when Vessel of Hatred came out, I realized that because it was on Game Pass, I could just grab the Vessel of Hatred expansion on PC on Battle.net, even though I owned the base game on my console and I wouldn't be able to play the expansion on my console. I thought it doesn't matter about the ownership of the base game anymore because I've got Game Pass. Well, guess who doesn't have Game Pass anymore? That's right, it's your boy. In general, I'm trying to get away from the Xbox ecosystem. My Xbox Series S itself is unplugged and put away, but I wanted to play more Diablo 4 again. So you might have thought the obvious option was to buy Vessel of Hatred again on Xbox, but like I've just said, kind of don't really have my Xbox out plugged in very often. That's the lazy man's problem, but it is a problem. But also, it wasn't on sale, the expansion, and so what I noticed was for the same price, I could have bought on sale the base game bundle with the expansion on Steam. So that's what I did. I had to buy the game again, even though I could have just bought the base game on Battle.net, except the base game by itself wasn't on sale on Battle.net, so again, it would have been the same price. So now I own everything on Steam, and I'm hoping I never have to buy this damn game again. But yeah, when Vessel of Hatred came out, I was going to play through the story, because I don't love the story of D4, but I love the story of Diablo in general. And I was excited to see where they were going with the Diablo 4 story, but I actually never finished the Vessel of Hatred story. It didn't really keep me. In fact, I remember what happened. I came up against a boss that I found too challenging, and I got annoyed, and I stopped playing. And I didn't intend to stop playing, but it's one of those things where you quit out of a game without knowing that you're not going to open it again for another year, you know what I mean? So I still haven't done that. That is still on my to-do list, if we're being perfectly honest. But I decided I just wanted to dive into a season, because I've never really got that invested in a Diablo 4 season. This side of the game has never really kept me. And again, I want it to, but it just has not. And this is the season of Infernal Chaos, I think it's called. And as you can see, like, the blue effects going off around me, that's because of a seasonal, like, effect thing that you can level up and choose certain perks and relics and stuff to slot in and stuff. That's what that is. Now, it's important to note I am not a metagaming Andy when it comes to Diablo 4. My build is purely based on what I thought looked good and cool and fun, and you'll even see me putting some skill points into stuff in this video, which, you know, probably not advisable, but hey, my thinking is when I get to higher tiers of difficulty, I might start looking at builds then and just completely respec then. But for now, I just kind of want to chill and do what I want to do. That is an important thing to note because I'm about to complain about the difficulty. However, I think it's also irrelevant to the complaints I'm about to make about the difficulty. So something I've noticed about this seasonal progression is that it is completely broken. It's absolutely busted, and whenever I've looked up online seeing other people talk about it, all I've seen is, well, yeah, that's the way it is every season, which is weirdly complacent when your game is this busted. So let me talk about it. You're not seeing it on screen right now because right now we're just doing a normal dungeon for some grim favors. I just felt like collecting some grim favors. In a minute we'll do a nightmare dungeon, and in that nightmare dungeon is going to be chaos rifts, which are a seasonal thing where you interact with a chaos rift to open it. It spawns a bunch of enemies, and then when you kill those enemies you are able to then damage the rift. You damage the rift, you close the rift, you get seasonal rewards like seasonal XP for the faction, or just general XP sometimes, but you also get this currency called Infernal Warp, which you can use to level up your seasonal perks. This is probably sounding very familiar if you've played any other Diablo 4 season before, because they are kind of recycling systems every season. People don't seem to be too happy about the way seasons are going in Diablo 4. Anyway, the problem with this is that the mobs that are spawned by the Chaos Rifts hit, and I am not exaggerating, I think about 10 times harder than normal mobs. We are on hard mode at the minute in this dungeon, and I'm cleaning up. I should probably be on expert difficulty. That's what's recommended for, like, kind of having as many legendaries as my character currently has, but I decided to keep it on hard because I don't know if the base difficulty also affects the difficulty of the seasonal mobs. And when we get into this second dungeon, you're gonna see I'm just like steamrolling the dungeon. I'm having a great time. Honestly, even if it is a bit too easy, I do quite like Diablo to be on the easier side because steamrolling things just tends to feel good. And then we'll find enemies, you'll notice they'll have like a kind of purple aura about them. It's pretty obvious when we find the seasonal enemies in the next dungeon, and they just wipe me over and over and over again, especially towards the end of the video when I decide to take on the rifts instead of avoiding them. And the damage I do to them is absolutely pitiful, and I'm doing my absolute best just to stay alive long enough to kill the rift, which honestly doesn't have that much health in comparison to the minions. But it still takes everything, all the potion guzzling I can manage, all my cooldowns, all the dodges, and most of the time I die before I can close the rift. And that can't be the intentional gameplay, right? And I don't think I'm missing anything dramatic. Like, sure, I don't have a meta build for my barbarian, but there is such a disparity between the damage I am dealing to the mobs that are not seasonal versus the damage that I am dealing to the mobs which are, that it's just kind of insane. And, you know, I've seen some people online say, well, this is just normal at the start of a season for being a lower level, but the seasonal progression is based around taking on these rifts and these seasonal mobs and minions, and I just don't understand how you can design a game where this is the intentional experience. But that's my rant, I think. I'm trying to just push through because I am actually having a pretty good time returning to Diablo 4 right now. In general, I'm having fun with the game. It's been in the back of my mind for a long time wanting to play more Diablo 4, and yeah, it's a good time. The other thing I will mention though is since I last played, they've swapped from a battle pass system to a reliquary system, which is still basically fundamentally a battle pass. It's a seasonal thing that you buy and then you work towards getting cosmetics, and then if you don't get them done before the season ends, you don't get access to those cosmetics anymore because FOMO sells. And the basic idea of a reliquary system is you have 4 reliquaries, you get 1 for free. Basically, if you like, you can buy them individually, but if you buy the battle pass, you get all 3 unlocked to work towards. And then as you're doing like as you're just playing through the game and leveling up and doing seasonal stuff, you unlock these tokens which you can use to spend on the things within the reliquaries. And one reliquary will be like dedicated to, I think this season it's like beasts, weapons and mounts. I forget what the free one is, if it has a specific theme, but the items in the free ones is that you get like free weapons, and then you get like a mount and some mount armor, and then I think there's something else as well. And there's also a super special awesome armor set if you complete every single reliquary. And so the benefits of this system is that you can kind of pick and choose what you want to work towards if you don't think you're gonna complete the whole thing and you just want specific things out of it. And then also you can apparently like hoard the tokens and they carry over to next season, so if you play this game a ton, you can just like insta complete for next season probably. But in my experience, and maybe it's because I'm still a low level character and I'm not doing super endgame stuff, maybe it's better, you just saw me own one of those favor tokens, maybe it's better when you're a higher level doing endgame stuff, but in my experience you don't get these very fast. I've put about 7 hours into the game now and I've earned just enough to unlock the free horse, and I'm working towards the free horse armor. I will give them credit, free horse and free horse armor do look pretty premium and cool for a free reward though. But in general, Diablo 4's cosmetic systems continue to be very pricey and very money grabby, to the point where I can't ever justify it to myself. Like, I will look at the shop now and then and go, wow, these armor sets do look really cool, but I cannot justify spending on them. I've never spent on an armor set, unless I guess you count the like ultimate edition of the original game, which got me a special horse, and also I did buy a couple of those early battle passes, but I just never got far through them. Like, I'm talking level 5, level 6, because the seasonal gameplay's never really kept me, and that's a shame, because I love Diablo and I love Diablo 3 seasons as well, so I'm still kind of waiting for it to properly get its hooks in me, but I think I'm just playing too many other things as well. I'm not going to have enough time to dedicate. I think Diablo 4 just wants you to dedicate more time to it than I'm willing to give. Also, I think there's something to be said about the constant seasonal gameplay, starting new characters over and over again. I've never got to a point in this game where I've sunk as much time into a single character as I have in Diablo 3, where I've understood all the nuances of endgame, like the armor sets I should be getting, and that feeling of I've broken the game and can now do super high difficulty stuff because of it. I've just never achieved that in Diablo 4, and I know that stuff is there, but I just think the way that the game is set up doesn't really allow me to reach those heights, if you know what I mean. So it's not you, Diablo 4, it's me, but also it's kind of you as well. And I think that's about all I have to say about Diablo 4 for now. Hopefully I've expressed my thoughts in a way that makes it obvious that I'm having a really good time, but I'm also having a lot of nitpicks and gripes and, flies in the ointment here. If you have any advice for me about, what I might be doing wrong in approaching this season, I would love to hear it, but I would also like to stress it should be more apparent if there is something I'm doing drastically wrong. You know what I mean? Like, they should design the game around people picking it up and checking out a season without having to know that you have to go do this specific thing in order to make the game playable, Anyway, we're going to talk about other things now, but keep an eye out for me dying extremely quickly in this next dungeon. To touch upon other games I've been playing this week, you might have seen the video I put out about Batman Arkham Asylum. I'm having a lot of fun with that game. Oh, by the way, get a load of this super unhelpful tooltip. Or pop-up, I suppose. I didn't have time to read that. That was probably important. Anyway, yes, I've been trying to get into Batman Arkham Asylum for years. In that video, you see that I have a save file from 2014. On and off. Every now and again, I've poked my head into that game. I've tried to enjoy it. For whatever reason, I've bounced off of it. Now, I'm having such a good time, and maybe it's because I'm still in this weird Batman hyperfixation. I just got my copy of Batman The Long Halloween Compact Comic Edition, which arrived today and released today. I pre-ordered that shit. That LEGO Batman game announcement back in Gamescom awoke something in me which has yet to be fully sated. And I thought, yeah, I should probably play the Arkham games, considering I also now own all of the Arkham games. So yeah. Loving Arkham Asylum. It's such a Metroidvania. I'm really excited for Arkham City, but I get the impression that the Metroidvania aspects of the series dwindle after that. And speaking of Metroidvanias, there is a Steam Autumn sale on right now, and it really just wants me to spend all of my money, and I'm trying to be sensible, but I did pick up both the Castlevania Advance Collection and the Castlevania Dominus Collection, which is all the GBA and Nintendo DS titles kind of emulated officially. And I had a bad time to begin with, and I'll tell you why. I started with the Castlevania Advance. In fact, that's all I've played so far. I'm actually considering refunding the Dominus Collection because I feel like by the time I get to it, it might be on sale again and it might be cheaper in that sale. But anyway, I booted up the Castlevania Advance Collection. I thought I will start with Circle of the Moon because that is the earliest GBA game, I'm guessing, based on the chronology that they've presented these games to me. I know it's not important to play Castlevania games in chronological order, but it's what I wanted to do. Two problems with Circle of the Moon. First of all, that is a very difficult game. I was excited for the Advance Collection because I actually own the original Castlevania collection on Xbox, and I was playing some of those NES titles, and they are brutally difficult like a lot of NES titles are, and I was excited to get to the later Castlevania games which have more of a kind of mainstream appeal in terms of difficulty and the ability to enjoy them. But no, Circle of the Moon? Maybe I'm just bad at these types of games, but it is not an easy game. But then the main problem I had with Circle of the Moon is when I got a decent part into it, and I was like, alright, I'm going to do a quick save because I haven't found a save room yet. And I hit quick save and the game crashed. And I went, huh, that's not good. And I loaded the game up and there was no save file and all my progress was gone. And like, it was 20-30 minutes of progress, but it was 20-30 minutes of hard fought progress, you know what I'm saying? And so I almost refunded it based on that experience alone, because if you can't trust quick saves, that is a bad place to be. I also have video evidence of this. It'll probably end up in a future miscellaneous shenanigans, but yeah, it's not great. But it's got very positive reviews on Steam, and any negative reviews I could find didn't mention anything about crashing, so I decided it was probably a free accident, and I was advised as well to maybe start with one of the other 2 main games on there. Obviously, Aria of Sorrow is a fan favourite, but I decided to start with Harmony of Dissonance before it so I could greater appreciate Aria of Sorrow, and because I am nothing if not a self-saboteur. However, I have got a decent bit into a Harmony of Dissonance now, and I'm happy to announce that is the Castlevania experience I was looking for in terms of difficulty and in terms of gameplay. I don't know if I'll play it all the way through right now because I'm kind of hopping between too many games, and that's a sure sign that I'm going to drop some of them. But I am enjoying it. I'm also playing a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima right now because that's a game that I picked up probably 3, 4, 5 months ago, somewhere in that ballpark, and I played a decent chunk of it and then I got distracted, as I do. Honestly, I'm considering legitimately renaming this channel from Kritigri to Christian Gets Distracted because I'm tired of reiterating how bad my attention span is all the time. I got a comment the other day on my Dragon Quest VII video which was like, I can't imagine starting a Dragon Quest game and not finishing it. And I was like, yeah, not everyone has the same kind of brain you do, my chum. Anyway, Ghost of Tsushima. I booted that game up intending to continue the story because of running around in the open world isn't going to get me any closer to the end of a game, and I would like to finish some games this year. However, I then just got addicted to taking on Mongol strongholds and having a great time. Just the combat in that game is so satisfying, and I've been looking at the Steam sales and going, no, Christian, you should not buy Assassin's Creed games that you already own on PlayStation and Xbox on Steam just because they're cheap, and so that's another reason. Because I've been hearing bad things about Assassin's Creed Shadows, or not bad things, but just, it's just played Ghost of Tsushima, and Ghost of Yotei is out now, and I guess this is kind of continuing an accidental trend of me playing potential Game of the Year nominees, prequels, original titles, instead of the new games that came out this year. Been playing a bunch of Hades in recent weeks, and now I've been playing a bunch of Ghost of Tsushima. Here are the seasonal enemies, if you were wondering. But yeah, I'm not necessarily playing Ghost of Tsushima with the intent to finish it in one big sweeping go, but I am playing it with the intent of not forgetting how to play it or what is going on. It's a fun game to have installed to just boot up and run around and do some map completion in when I'm feeling the itch. But also, I guess I should mention, this wasn't this week, this was like last week or the week before maybe, but one of the reasons why I also decided to re-download Ghost of Tsushima was because I had been watching a bunch of videos from a YouTube channel called Voices of the Past, and some of its videos are about, the history of Japan and like journal entries from ancient Japanese people and like their interactions with like Americans and stuff for the first time, and it's absolutely fascinating. And I thought, while I'm having this romp through Japanese history, I suppose, why not play a game set in Japanese history that I already know that I like and need to spend more time in, or would like to spend more time in. I gotta alter the way I talk about this stuff. We're not done talking about what games I played yet. I also picked up Melva Idol, which, if you're not aware, is basically RuneScape, but as an idle game. And it's not actually RuneScape, it's kind of like store brand RuneScape, but at the same time it is published by Jagex, who make RuneScape, so that's kind of an interesting one. I actually picked up Melva Idol a while ago, but I refunded it because of a weird nitpick, but it doesn't have sound of any kind, and it turns out that's kind of a turn-off for me. Like, just have button clicking noises at least, but it is completely mute, it is completely devoid of sound, and that is because it's meant to be something you run in the background in conjunction with other things that you're doing at the time, for sure. It doesn't exactly require your constant attention, it is an idle game, but it did put me off. However, in Steam sale, it was £4, and I went, I can pick it up again for £4, and I've been playing it while I've been playing RuneScape, because I am still playing Leagues, and it's pretty fun. The only idle game I've ever really sunk any amount of time into is Adventure Capitalist, and I was determined to 100% complete that game without, buying any of its microtransactions, because it was a free to play idle game, and I actually did do that. It took years, but I did do it. But wow, Melva Idol has a lot more to it as a RuneScape style idle game than Adventure Capitalist ever did, and it's kind of interesting in that way. although I do kind of just keep opening it, getting my guy to mine and then closing it and opening it 24 hours later and getting him to continue mining. So while there is a lot of depth to Melva Idol, I am not necessarily exploring that depth right now. Okay, I said I wanted to talk about Game of the Year nominees. They haven't been announced, I should stress, and I don't think they will be announced for a few weeks to a month yet. But the reason it's on my mind is because it's looking to be a very interesting year, and I should say, straight up, obviously, the Game Awards are the Game Awards. They mean as much or as little as you want them to, but it is a fun discussion point to talk about this year in gaming. And this year in gaming, I feel like, has seen such a monumental shift towards indie games prevailing over AAA titles as this industry continues to eat itself alive in terms of more and more unsustainable growth in profit. And you know, this week we saw Saudi Arabian investments basically buying EA, which means I'm never going to buy another EA game because, I mean, I'm not going to discuss it in a YouTube video, but they do not treat people well. People that I care about, or the kinds of people that I care about well at all. That is the understatement of the year. I'm talking executions. Anyway, not funding that, which bums me out because, a tangent, I never did pick up Dragon Age Veilguard, so I might look into like key resellers at some point, because I do not want to give money to that company anymore. Anyway, Game Awards. So we've just seen some monumental indie releases this year. We've seen obviously Hades 2 and Hollow Knight Silksong, and for some reason I saw an article talking about how, we might have 2 indie titles as Game of the Year nominees for the first time, listing those 2 games. And I'm looking at Expedition 33 and I'm going, that is an indie title though, right? Like, why are we pretending it's not? It might be more AA in scope than the other indie titles, but it's still an indie title, and I think that one should probably win, to be honest. I've not played any of these games, but from what I've been hearing about these games from the outside looking in, while they all deserve to win in their own right, I think Expedition 33 is the horse that I am backing in this race. And I think the other 2 nominees, which are more AAA, will probably be Ghost of Yotei and Donkey Kong Bonanza, whatever that game's called. So I guess there's my predictions for the 5 Game of the Year nominees. There might be something I'm overlooking just because it's the kind of game that I don't pay attention to. Let me know if there's something on my radar that I've missed that you think should be a Game of the Year nominee. But yeah, shockingly, an indie game has never won Game of the Year, so I think this year it's the year for it, right? It's the year when sentiment is shifting in droves away from AAA titles, and obviously with Xbox as well increasing the price of Game Pass drastically this month, or I guess they announced that they were doing that this month. I really do hope that just more and more people continue to go, Microsoft, we don't need you. EA, we do not need you. I don't know why you think there is this much goodwill to burn to keep your ambitions afloat, because that hot air balloon is gonna burst, and you are going to plummet. And honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to when you do. I mean, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that's bad for games across the entire industry, and there are some AAA titles. This is a AAA title, Diablo IV, that we're looking at right now, and obviously it has its issues, as you can see on screen right now, but like, yeah, I don't want AAA gaming to die, because there are certain AAA titles I do still enjoy and care about and want to see release, but also, I kind of want to watch these executives realize that their methods are not sustainable and that there are consequences for their actions. So there we go, my Game of the Year nominees discussion kind of devolved into a bit of a rant about the gaming industry right now, but all the best Game of the Year nominee discussions do. I hope you've been watching and seeing just what I mean by how insane the scaling is on the damage of these seasonal enemies here in Diablo 4. Obviously, the Rift keeps pulsing out these waves which you have to dodge, but when you're a melee character and you have to be in melee range, you don't exactly get any indication that those waves are coming or any time in which to dodge them either, so that's another thing I'm coming up against. But also they do so much damage. So so much damage. But that's just about going to do it for me this week. Coming up next week, I will be talking probably a bit about World of Warcraft's Legion Remix, because it will have been out for a few days by then. I am really looking forward to that, by the way. I've been playing a little bit more WoW this week in preparation for that. Not that there's anything you need to do to prepare for it in terms of gameplay, but just I haven't really been playing the game much recently. Today's video was almost me doing more delves, but then I remembered that nobody cared last time I did delves, and also I had better gameplay to show you. And Diablo 4 does kind of fit the spooky season vibe too. But yes, very, very, very excited to revisit WoW Legion. I mean, I started towards the end of Mists of Pandaria, so Legion was kind of the golden age of WoW for me personally. I've been watching so many interviews as well and stuff of them talking about Midnight. The Midnight Alpha went live, so there's been so much delicious WoW content to consume. I have been avoiding some of it. There's always that fine line you walk of like, how much do I want to know ahead of time? I haven't watched any videos about people exploring Silvermoon City, for instance, but I have been watching videos about the housing system and how neighborhoods work and stuff like that, which I also cannot wait to get my hands on. Good gosh, it looks so good. It looks like probably the best housing system of any video game ever made. It's just all the best things from all of them combined. Anyway, my barbarian's just gonna keep eating the floor, so I'm gonna leave him to it, and thanks for watching. I will catch you in whatever I make next.